Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I am Aphrodite's child. Sorry for the makeup free face at the moment. It's literally still quite early in the morning. I think it's about 10 o'clock. So I'm not exactly quite ready yet. So in this video, I am going to speak about Greek myth and about women and about men. And I am currently reading at the moment Rivals in Love and War by Don O'Sullivan, which is a retelling of the Trojan War from Hera and Athena's and Aphrodite's perspective, but it's mostly from Aphrodite's perspective. And to start this video is done out of honour of Aphrodite. So we've seen that in Greek myth there's a lot of rivalry between women, like Athena, Aphrodite, well, not Athena and Aphrodite, but Hera and Aphrodite, Persephone and Aphrodite. There seems to be a lot of rivalry. And a lot of people tend to say, oh, you need to be careful with putting Athena and Aphrodite together because they're in rivals, or Persephone and Aphrodite together because they're in rivals. But what they need to understand is that these myths were written and rewritten by men. So it wasn't given women like Sappho a chance to talk. I'm sorry, I'm literally still poorly. I'm full of cold at the moment, so I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit. I'm just full of cold. So, as I was saying, it wasn't given Sappho, people like Sappho, a chance to talk. So basically, Greek myth is basically goddesses who are literally dominant by men. They're literally living in a man's world. Like women are living in a man's world now. So the man's interpretation of a woman is that women should be seen but not heard. So this is the main look on Greek myth, is that you can see the women, you can see the goddesses, but you can't hear them. And you know why you can't hear them? It's because the men are doing the talking. Men have made it quite clear that you can only see them, but you're not going to hear them. So men have spoken for the goddesses and labelled them as being rivals, whores, sluts. And I think that Aphrodite has the worst of the male dominant on her, and the worst voice from man that any woman could ever get, due to what she stands for. And I think that a lot of things about her have been abused along the way. Like men have really gone and controlled gone and controlled her myth, and really made it quite clear that you're only going to see her, but you're not going to hear her, which is the main voice of a man for women, is that women should only be seen and not heard. But women also have a voice. Aphrodite has a voice, Persephone has a voice, Hera has a voice, Athena has a voice, Medusa has a voice. And we need to be able to hear them, and we need to be able to see them. Now, I'm going to read something by Plotinus. Do excuse me if I'm not saying his name right, I do apologise. But this is how Plotinus views Hera and Aphrodite. We have seen that the Aphrodite of the myth is a soul. We have forced the soul so to make Aphrodite the soul of Zeus. And the identification is confirmed by priest and theologians. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that word right. We consider Aphrodite and Hera one and the same, and call Aphrodite star the star of Hera. So in that second, Aphrodite and Hera were allowed to talk. The male voice got lifted, and you heard it as if Sappho had wrote it, as if Sappho had come and spoken and said, Aphrodite and Hera are not in rivals with each other. Hera is considered one and the same of Aphrodite. And we call Aphrodite star the star of Hera, so they can be on the same altar together. They should not be separated. If you separated them, you're allowing the voice of a man to say, separate them, they can't be on the same altar together. They can be on the same altar together. It's giving women a chance to talk. It's giving women a chance to be seen and also heard. And it's giving Aphrodite and Hera and a chance to be seen and also a chance to be heard at the same time, instead of just be seen. And there's also, again, something about the Athena and Aphrodite can't be on the same altar together. Again, this is very male dominant, where they can only be seen and not heard. If you actually pulled them forward, brought Sappho into the equation, and listened to Sappho, because it never gave her the chance to talk either. It never really gave people like Sappho a chance to say, this is wrong, this is really male dominant, we need to hear them. So it never really gave Sappho a chance to say, Aphrodite and Athena can be on the same altar together, they're not in rivals with each other. Aphrodite and Hera can be on the same altar together. Aphrodite and Hera consider one and the same. Aphrodite's star is known as the star of Hera, so they can be seen together. And it just really annoys me when people mention about rivalry, because they're really responding to the male dominant side. It's not really allowing them to be heard as well as being seen, both at the same time. And it just, it really makes me think of when women weren't allowed to vote at one point, where women were just silenced, where you could only see women but you couldn't hear women. Living in a man's world, being ruled by men, very male dominant. Like, women were only meant to do this, women were only meant to do that. We're not just meant to do certain things, we are meant to do things that feel right for us as women to do. Women aren't meant to just be shoved in a corner and just be seen and just be silenced. We can't be silenced, and we're not going to allow men to silence us. We do have every right to speak, we do have every right to vote, and the whole voting system changed because the women fought to vote. So it gave women a voice. So women were also seen, but they were also heard at the same time. So when you look at Greek myths, this is why they shouldn't be taken literally. You should only take them with a pinch of salt, especially when they've been written and rewritten by men. So it never really gave people like Sappho a chance to talk. So when you see like what myths we see now is rivalries between women, I think Aphrodite has one of the worst male interpretation of a myth on her due to what she stands for. So they really had a field day with her. They really controlled and worded everything from a man's point of view, not allowing Sappho to do the talking because she's a woman. So basically, Sappho was only meant to be seen, not heard. So it never really allowed Aphrodite to have a voice. It's only when reading Rivals in Love and War, which is mostly from Aphrodite's perspective. You also get Hera and Athena's perspective of this. So when you hear it from her, from the women, you will see that it's completely nothing like the male side. What I do like about Aphrodite in this is that she's very honest, she's very truthful, and she literally says everything, like basically saying, honey, we've all got a past, we've all done stuff wrong, we're all not innocent in this world. She's very upfront and very honest and very truthful. She doesn't go around, doing this or doing that. She doesn't go around breaking up relationships or doing this or doing that, or in rivals with women. Even though in this she does mention that that Persephone, loved Adonis as well, and that Adonis decided, between Persephone and Aphrodite, and then he left with a decision, then he ended up choosing her. but there was no rivalry. This is where you need to really take it as a pinch of salt, especially where rivalry between women are concerned, because it is very male dominant and is written by men. It's been written, then it got rewritten by man. So man will interpret everything to silence women. We can only see them and not hear them. This is why a lot of these Greek myth retellings now, like Pandora's Jar by Natalie Haynes, and she written another one, I think it's Divine Myths or Divine Women, which actually speaks about Aphrodite's perspective, like, were they really in rivals? Are they really known as this? Are they really known as that? You know, are they considered monstrous? Are they considered this? Are they considered that? Because she's given them voice and took the male perspective away from them. You will understand that the myths that we see now, the classical myths that we see now, are very male dominant and don't really give them a chance to speak. And, you know, there's also one where they say that Athena and Aphrodite can't be on the same altar together. Again, that is very male dominant. It's always best to look for a woman's point of view, to hear as if Sappho had gone and spoken and said they can be on the same altar together. Hera and Aphrodite can be on the same altar together. Aphrodite's star is known as the star of Hera, so why can't they be on the same altar together? If you don't put them on the same altar together, you'll be allowing men to do the talking rather than allowing them to have a voice. So this is why you really need to be careful when reading Greek myths and just take it as a pinch of salt, especially knowing when it is very male dominant and very written by men. It's like they're living in a man's world where you can only see them but you can't hear them. This is why a lot of these, you know, from the goddess's perspective, are worth looking into, because you will get to understand from their point of view, because it's been written by them themselves. And Natalie Haynes' Pandora's Jar, another one of her books, I think it's Divine Myths or Divine Women, it's one of her newer books, which is written from their perspective, written from a woman's point of view, which Sappho was never really given the chance to do, because it was very male dominant of the myths. And this is why they were rewritten by men, so people would generally see them in a way that they should not be seen, which again is not really shedding them in the correct light that they should be seen as women. So this is why you should only take it as a pinch of salt when reading, especially about the rivalry, when people say, oh, they can't be on the same altar together, when in fact that they can. You know, I'm not willing to say to anyone that so-and-so can't be on the same altar, especially when I know that Greek myth was written by men, rewritten by men. So this is why I don't take it as being literate, especially when they say that when there's rivals, they can't be on the same altar together. Now, for a split second, Persephone and Aphrodite did end up having a voice, because Persephone and Aphrodite's temple were close to each other. And so they were given a voice for that split second, so they can be on the same altar together. So they were given a voice to saying, well, we can be on the same altar together. There's nothing with us. We can be on the same altar together. We're not really going to kick off. You know, and that's the same with Hera and Aphrodite, because Aphrodite is like, well, my star is a star of Hera, so of course we can be on the same altar together. We're considered as one. You can't separate myself from myself. We're considered as one. So this is why you should only really take the myths with a pinch of salt, not take them as, not take them as being serious, like this is actually the truth. They can't be on the same altars together. They can't be together. You need separate altars around the room. No, you don't. The Greek myths nowadays, well, the classical Greek myths are very male dominant. The nowadays Greek myth retellings are very female dominant. It's removed all the male dominant, like Medea has all of Jason's male dominant removed from her, so you're hearing it from her perspective, because I know that in her classical myth, which was rewritten by men, interpret her as a a woman who murdered her children and very monstrous and was jealous of her new relationship with Jason, when Jason was the one that actually broke her heart. And she knew that someone would want to kill her sons. So she thought the best way, instead of letting them be killed in the hands of an enemy, is to do it herself. So she was a very distraught, broken-hearted woman. So when you moved all the male dominant from Medea, you will see and hear it from her, rather than men like Jason's interpretation of it, where she was a ruthless, murderous woman who was jealous of his new relationship when he actually broke her heart. So this is hearing it from Medea's perspective. And then you've also got Aphrodite's perspective, and then you've also got Hera's perspective, Athena's perspective, Medusa's perspective, because they're not allowing men to dominate them no more. They want their voice to be heard. They want to be seen and also be heard at the same time. And I think, like with Rivals in Love and War and the new Greek myth retellings in books like Pandora's Jar and Divine Myths, are giving women the chance to talk. And like Sappho has now writing and being allowed a chance to talk, where you're not just seeing her, but you're also hearing her at the same time. So he's giving her a chance to talk by saying, yes, Athena and Aphrodite can be on the same altar. Yes, Persephone and Aphrodite can be on the same altar. Yes, Athena, Hera and Aphrodite can be on the same altar, because Aphrodite's star is known as the star of Hera. They're considered as one. So yes, they can be on the same altar together. So it's bringing Sappho back, and it's giving the goddesses a chance to talk and say, yes, we live in a man's world, but we're not going to be silenced by men. We're going to be empowered and speak for what we know to be true within ourselves, and not allowing men to do the talking for us. We want to be seen and also heard at the same time. And that's also one of the reasons why I can recommend this book. So I dedicated out of honour to do this video for Aphrodite, because I do feel that she's one that's been very male dominated, where you've only been able to have seen her and not heard her due to what she stands for. And even from a universal aspect, which is what I see her as Eros ruling alongside her and Apollon, I do feel that she's had the worst of the male dominant, and she's had the worst of men speaking for her. And in Rivals in Love and War, she finally got the chance to speak from her perspective, and she's very honest, very truthful about herself, and it's nothing like what men have been saying about her. And it just made me fall in love with her, even more, for being so honest, for being so truthful, and not made you feel guilty for having a past, but for helping you move on from it, knowing what you've done, and making it quite clear it's a path that you will never ever do again, and moving on from it, and being we've all been there, we've all worn the t-shirt, we've all done it, not to make to feel like that no one else has done it in the world. She's made it quite clear that she's also saying, look, I've done it, I've worn the t-shirt, we've all done it, but it's moving on from that. And this is where she becomes very truthful and very, very honest. It doesn't make you feel guilty for your past, but makes it quite a bit like, I've worn the t-shirt, darling, I've done it, we've all done it, we've all been there. And this is what I really love about her in Rivals and Love and War. She's so truthful in what she stands for, and that's because she hasn't allowed the male dominant to speak for her. She's not allowed the male dominant to speak for her no more. She's literally come out and be seen, and she's also been heard at the same time. And when the myths got rewritten by men, they damn well made sure that women should only be seen and not heard. So this is why you should only take Greek myths as being literate, especially where Rivals and them doing this and them doing that as being and the actual thing, because you need to realize that the myths were written and rewritten by man. So when you look into, sayings like from Plotinus, I don't know if I'm saying his name right once again, I'm sorry, where you actually see that, oh, this is from a female's perspective. A man has written what a female has been silenced from by saying they can be on the same altar together. They are allowed to be on the same altar together. And Aphrodite saying, Hera is known as my star is known as the star of Hera. So we can be on the same altar together. We consider one of the same. So next time you feel like telling someone that Hera and Aphrodite can't be on the same altar together, or that Athena and Aphrodite can't be on the same altar together, do be aware that you're following the male side of the equation, not the female side. So please don't go around saying to anyone that you can't have Athena, Hera and Aphrodite on the same altar together, because you can. I'm not the type to follow the male dominant side of that. I support women's rights and women's rights to be heard and also be seen, both at the same time. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do like this video, please give it a like and thumbs up, and do subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one. Bye.